So we all know the story of David and Goliath, right? Big giant comes out, threatens the Israelite army. They're afraid to fight. So David, who comes to actually bring food for his brothers, this little scrawny kid, is the only one man enough to go out and fight the giant. The story is found in 1 Samuel 17. If you haven't read it, or if you haven't read it in a while, I suggest you do, because it's actually a pretty encouraging, inspiring story. It's pretty sweet. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I am going to read the trash talk between David and Goliath because I think it's pretty sweet. It says, "And the Philistine said to David, 'Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field.' Then David said to the Philistine, 'You come to me with a sword and a spear and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the army of Israel, to whom you defiled. This day,'" this is where it gets good, "'this day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcass of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel.'" I love that David not only has the courage to go at Goliath, but he does it with some swagger too, with this trash talk. And he's like, "Come at me, dude, like what?" Obviously, you know the story. David gets a slingshot, throws a rock at Goliath's head, hits him in the head, falls down dead. And then, as he said, "I'm gonna take your head from you," he goes over, didn't have a sword, so he grabs Goliath's sword and cuts off Goliath's head with his own sword. That's some swag right there. First of all, I just love that story of David and Goliath. I think it's so cool. I think it's so important to remember that, you know, the God with you is bigger than whatever giant's in front of you. Whatever you're facing in life, know that God is bigger and God can overcome. It's known throughout the world. Everybody knows the story of David and Goliath. When you're watching sports, they talk about the underdog match of David facing Goliath. And everybody knows, it's the true underdog story. Everybody's excited. Everybody loves to see a little guy beat the giant. But the part that I actually want to focus on today is in verse 29, where the guys, David's brothers, are afraid, and the whole army is hiding from this guy. And David comes up and he's like, "Is there not a cause?" And that is such a big, profound statement, because that's why he fought. David wasn't going to pick a fight with this guy, but there was a cause. David had a cause. He told these guys, "Is there not a cause? Is there not a reason? Like, I'm not going to start a fight for no reason, but if there's a reason to fight, I'm not going to hide and cower and be afraid. I'm going to go fight. Is there not a cause?" And it was actually a while back in a service when somebody was preaching about David and Goliath, or just mentioned David and Goliath. And that phrase, "Is there not a cause?" stuck in my head. And God spoke to me and said, David had a cause way before he was king. See, I feel like a lot of us are waiting until, or at least me, maybe this is just true in my own life, maybe it's not true for you, but I feel like I've always been like, when I get to this point in my life, then I will give back. If I had this much money, then I would give all sorts of money to the poor. I would help out all sorts of homeless people. As a kid, I always, I looked up to athletes who would give back to their hometown. Now that they've made it, they're gonna give money back to the town they were raised in and help out the people that were in the same situation that they were in. And that's great and that's awesome. But the thing that stuck out to me with this is David was not a big deal. David was a little shepherd boy, but he knew there was a cause and he fought for it. So I'm asking you, in your life, is there not a cause? So I'm not saying you have to sell everything you have and give it to the poor, or I'm not saying you have to picket or protest every little thing, but just in your life, is there a cause? Is there something? Are you living for something bigger than yourself? Are you living for a cause? Are you just here on this earth to get by, to get a paycheck, to make so much money, to have a big enough house or a nice enough car? Or are you truly living for something bigger than yourself? And this is something that I think of all the time, Is my life just about to collect as many shoes as I can? Or is there a cause? Is there something that I can get behind? Something that I can be a part of that's bigger than myself? Whether it's a local church or a charity, whatever it is, what is your cause? What is something that you can get behind? What's something in your life that you can live for that's bigger than yourself? See, and David didn't wait until he was big and powerful and prominent. And David had a cause way before he was king. When he was just a little shepherd boy, he didn't wait until he had this kingdom to start giving back, to start fighting for his people. So we don't need to wait either. What's something you can do now? What's a little thing that you can do to help the people around you, to help a cause, to help something, to make a difference, to make this world a better place, to live for something bigger than yourself? And the thing that struck me is we all know David ended up being king of Israel, right? And king is about as big and powerful and prominent as a thing as you can get. So if you're trying to think of something to live for, like what could I accomplish in life, you're not gonna beat king. Like king is the end all, like that's what you live for. But the funny thing is about David is more people remember David for killing Goliath than for being King David. And it just struck me that as big and powerful and as important and as the legacy that David left was bigger than his kingdom. David was actually more remembered for his cause than for his kingdom.